You want answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended the Shaolin Temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
Well, you know, we have been following these stories of Child Protective Services taking away kids of medical marijuana using patients since our good friend Lindsay Reinhardt in Idaho in April had her kids taken away in an act to try to squelch her political speech. These stories are just so maddening every time I read them. You know, we've done many stories where parents are charged with child endangerment and the kids taken away because there's a pot plant in the house. Well, this latest story comes to us from Michigan, and it's just a very harrowing tale. And let me read you my write-up on it first, and then we'll talk about it. The Michigan Medical Marijuana Act was passed in 2008. It contained a provision to protect the families of medical marijuana patients from legal consequences that the previous medical marijuana states did not envision. The Act's Section 4C reads, quote, "A person shall not be denied custody or visitation of a minor for acting in accordance with this act, unless the person's behavior is such that it creates an unreasonable danger to the minor that can be clearly articulated and substantiated." End quote. Well, that provision did not stop Child Protective Services from taking away Bree Green, the 6-month-old daughter of Steve and Maria Green. Maria is a patient with multiple sclerosis and a registered caregiver who was growing marijuana in a locked cultivation room in her home in accordance with the law. The case began with a custody dispute over another one of Maria's children, with whom she shares custody with her ex-husband. The ex claimed Maria's home wasn't fit for children since there was marijuana use going on. Child Protective Services got involved and sided with the ex-husband, ordering the removal of baby Bree on Friday, September 13th, and the termination of her visitation rights with the child of her ex-husband. Steve and Maria protested, and the case was reviewed by the Ingham family court referee named Rod Porter. Porter upheld the removal of baby Bree despite the medical marijuana law's Section 4C protections. So, what was the unreasonable danger to the minor that can be clearly articulated and substantiated? Porter, when confronted by the Michigan Marijuana News, replied, quote, "It is reasonable to assume that marijuana is being grown in that home with children being present, and that is dangerous for children to be involved in that situation. We have homes being robbed at gunpoint by individuals who know that children are at home." End quote. Let me say that again. Quote, "It is reasonable to assume that marijuana is being grown in that home with children being present, and that is dangerous for children to be involved in that situation. We have homes being robbed at gunpoint by individuals who know that children are at the home." End quote. So, if the possibility of a home invasion robbery is the standard for taking people's kids, Michigan parents better take care not to keep any jewelry or electronics in the home either. Those were the targets of a home invasion in northwest Ottawa County just a week after Bree was taken by CPS. I was able to find, by doing a Google News search, 4 more home invasion robberies in Michigan that occurred since Bree was taken, one resulting in a murder, and none of them apparently involving any home medical marijuana grows. In 2008, medical marijuana passed in every single county in Michigan, even the counties that voted for John McCain. It passed with 63% of the vote. Certainly, the people of Michigan didn't intend a protection for medical marijuana using patients and parents to be valid only if they weren't growing or using medical marijuana. Now, I applauded the Michigan law when this came out because, like I said in the opening there, it contained that protection, that 4C protection that supposedly protected custody and visitation rights for parents. But as you can see, so long as marijuana remains contraband, so long as it remains prohibited and the cost of it is so great that people are willing to break into homes to get it, the general public, the lawmakers, the legal officials still ascribe a danger to it. A danger they don't seem to fear when it comes to jewelry and electronics and fine art and cash and any other reason why someone might be breaking into someone's house for a home invasion. It is the prohibition of marijuana that makes it so profitable and keeps it so scarce for the vast majority of the people that want to use it that makes these home invasions over pot even reasonable. In all the home invasion robberies that I could read about, in those other 5 that I was able to pull up that had nothing to do with marijuana, it all had to do with break-ins trying to get some other sort of expensive goods. We cannot have a standard that says, because you might get robbed, we have to take your kids away from you. This is nothing but rank discrimination against medical marijuana use. And that discrimination comes out of fear, and it comes out of stereotyping, and it comes out of the ignorance most people have about medical marijuana, or about marijuana in particular. There is nothing inherently dangerous about a pot plant. It's one of the safest things a kid could be around. Now, there are nutrients and fertilizers and all sorts of things that might be used in growing marijuana that should be kept locked and away from children in childproof containers. But that applies to many things that we have in our households. Cleaners and bleaches and all sorts of things that we keep under the counters or we hope locked away from the kids that can be dangerous or poisonous to them. Again, nothing but a rank discrimination against the parents that are using medical marijuana. Now, the last few states to have passed medical marijuana laws, a lot of them also have included this language to supposedly protect child custody and child visitation. And we are going to find in those other states, like we have found in Michigan, that those laws will only be as good as the local prosecutor or the state attorney general enforces them. It's time for us to call on the Michigan Attorney General and all the officials in Michigan to heed the will of the voters, nearly 2 out of 3 of them, that approved medical marijuana with a very strict protection for the parental rights of patients who use and grow. Unfortunately, the Attorney General of Michigan, Bill Shute, is not much of a fan of medical marijuana and has done everything in his power to try to restrict and restrain the growth of medical marijuana dispensaries and the growth of the medical marijuana patient rolls. And again, this all comes from the demonization not of the medical users, but of the recreational users like you and me. The people out there that continue to say that there's something wrong with us if there's not something wrong with us for using pot. The people that continue to think in terms of, I'm a patient, not a criminal, as if a pot smoker could only be one of those 2 things. As legalization spreads in Washington and Colorado, and more medical marijuana states come online, as time flows on, these kind of things will become historical aberrations. These will become the abominations of the past. But we need to hasten that day. We need to educate people and have them understand that medical marijuana parents are good parents. And in many cases, they are better parents, better able to attend to their children, thanks to being able to control the pain that normally rules their daily lives. Better able to take care of their children because they're not in a fog from pharmaceutical drugs and narcotics that take care of pain, but leave them so doped up that the kid has no interaction with his parents. Better able to be parents because in addition to taking care of whatever ailment they might be using medical marijuana for, marijuana can also bring along a sense of relief and a relief from stress and an easygoing attitude that can be very helpful when you've got a toddler going through the terrible twos. I know so many people in marijuana activism and growing and in this whole movement that are parents, and their children are the most wonderful children, and they are some of the best parents I have ever met. And it breaks my heart when I have to drive out to Boise, Idaho to get on the steps of the Capitol to scream in our loudest voices for the media to hear that they are ruining families. That if you're saying, what about the children when it comes to marijuana legalization, medical or recreational, we will yell back, yeah, what about the children? What about keeping them with their parents? What about keeping them with their families? What about not breaking up good families merely for choosing the safest therapeutically active substance known to man, according to a DEA judge? That's why we'll continue fighting. That's why we'll be here day after day, bringing the stories of these Child Protective Service rackets that continue to destroy our families for a profit potential. You'll learn more about this in the days to come. We got some special reports coming up on CPS in cooperation with Ladybud and the Normal Women's Alliance and Moms for Marijuana, who are definitely keeping an eye on this. Hey, folks, that's all the time we got here for Hour 1, but make sure you stay tuned for Hour 2. Toker Talk Radio is up next. I got some information on Camp Cannabis in North Carolina, as well as the Better People Forum here in Portland that I'm appearing at on Thursday. We'll talk about the government shutdown a little bit. We've got video from the Jenny Cush Candlelight Rally in Denver last night from our own Grey Wolf. And we're going to talk about marijuana lab testing and e-cigarettes and vaporizers. Lots of subjects on hand for Toker Talk Radio. We're so glad it's back on the air and so glad you're here with us. Thanks for supporting us. Visit 420radio.org and click on donate to help support us. For everyone here at 420 Radio, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you